Every Saturday, we would go to the Southern Trust Building. No pretense anymore. I would press 5 to get up on the 5th floor where the radio station was. He would go up to his office, be there for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Little did I know, I was preparing for my first job in radio. I watched their every move. Now, my dad and my mom had a conversation about my little basement radio station. I still had that, and I still would operate it. I would go to WMAZ, and I'd see how they do things, and I'd rewire, maybe make a new console or something for the station that I would use. And the problem is that my basement radio station was on a slab of concrete, which wasn't grounded. Thanks be to God, we didn't have 220 here, or I'd be dead long ago. But with 120, it just merely knocks you across the room, which it did on several occasions. Now, unbeknownst to myself, and my mom told me this story years after Dad had died, so I had no idea that this was going on. But they could hear every profane word I was yelling in the basement when I would get shocked across the room. And my mom looks at my dad and she said, "Buddy," she called him Buddy. "Buddy, are you worried about the words your son's using?" And he said, No. When we hear him cuss, we know he's alive. When he doesn't say anything, that's when we run down there. They used to have these things called radio schools where people would pay money to learn how to be a radio broadcaster. You'd go up to Atlanta or, a major market somewhere, and for weeks they would teach you how to be a disc jockey. You weren't guaranteed a job, but they would teach you to do this. The point was, I was inside a radio station on a regular basis. I was learning how everything worked and how it operated, even to the point of knowing how it connected to the transmitter that was miles away out of town, having the engineer call you early in the morning and seeing that light go on and saying, "Okay, we're on the air, it's time to sign on," and watching the second sweep hand of a Western Union clock hit the top mark and knowing that's either when you signed on or when the network came on, and just watching the perfection of timing a show and making sure that everything that came out of the radio was professional. And I'll tell you again, these guys took their craft seriously, as did everybody at that radio station. And so I learned from them to think that what I did on radio was going to be going to a lot of ears, and that people paid attention and listened to what you had to say. This was the best radio school I could have ever attended, and I used it the rest of my radio career. They were being nice to me. But little did they know they were giving me the tools of a lifetime profession. So Gary Gunter gets a job at WSB Radio in Atlanta. It's time for him to graduate from high school and go to college, and he chose to go to a school in Atlanta, got the job at WSB. This left an opening at WMAZ, and I applied. Now, I often tell people that the way I got the job was because the only other applicant was a coat hanger. So Albert Sanders, the general manager, tells me that I will be paid $3.10 an hour. Minimum wage in Georgia was $1.60 in 1970. I was making about $250 a month, a 15-year-old that couldn't even drive to work. I was ecstatic. Not only did I have the dream job, but I was making pretty good money on top of that. So off I went. Little did I know, this gig wasn't going to last very long. On our next visit, I finally get to work at a radio station. Unbelievable.